Okay, I am so happy that you guys are here. This is such an important conversation to be having. And I'm so glad to be having it with you because weight gain in midlife is the number one reason women come to work with me. And this topic is going to help clear up why your body feels like it wants to hold on to weight in your midsection and what we can actually do about it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Christy. I went into menopause at 38. I didn't actually know the word perimenopause until just a few years ago. But I, like you, woke up one morning with a body I didn't recognize, and it was beyond frustrating. It was exhausting to try all the things that used to work and have nothing work, to be exhausted all the time, to be not sleeping, and just feel like you were walking through quicksand backwards. I just felt more depleted than ever. And it wasn't until I started really researching the menopause transition and what's happening in our bodies that I discovered something that we just really aren't taught. And that there's a key to midlife weight loss that is so important that we need to understand. Weight loss in midlife is not a calorie in, calorie out equation. We are no longer calculators. We have become these complex chemistry labs of hormones that all work together like a symphony. So we're going to do a deep dive into what that means for us from a weight loss perspective or a fat loss goal. And I'm going to do my best to explain it in the most simplest of terms. Okay, here's the agenda for today. So we're going to do a deep dive into that hormone insulin and truly understand its role in the body. I get super excited about the biology behind all the hormones and the blood sugar piece, the inflammation piece, the gut health piece. They're all interconnected. And I hope that by us having this conversation, you'll realize how important it is to understand each. And as you can see from this photo, I can't move my little face there, but when I was deep in perimenopause, I was bloated, I was inflamed, I was exhausted, I felt lost and isolated. And now I'm 48 years old. I have such a better sense of how to stay consistent and balanced and feel strong in my body and ultimately confident. And I know that if I can make this change in my body and in my weight, then you can do, and I cannot wait to help you do it. Your metabolism is not broken in midlife. This is not how it's going to be from here on out. It's not asleep for good. This is where we start, and we're going to get you where you want to go. Okay, ultimately, if dieting worked in perimenopause, you wouldn't be here. Most of you are doing more than you ever have. You're eating well, you're exercising, you're disciplined, you're making good choices, and yet your body isn't responding in the way that it used to. And we're going to go over the real reason why fat burning feels so hard right now. Insulin is one of our hormones, and it is not a bad hormone. It is essential for life. Its job is to move glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells to be used as energy or to store that energy for future use. So insulin controls fat burning and fat storage. And this is what it looks like. So when you eat food, the carbs in the food, so that could be anything from spinach and raspberries to bagels and pizzas and chips, it turns into glucose. Insulin is then released by the pancreas, and its job is to carry the glucose or the sugar that it's broken down into out of the bloodstream and into the cells to be used as energy. However, because we're eating more frequently, we've got snacks all the time, and because of what we're eating, the quality of our food, we are constantly pumping out insulin. When insulin stays high in our system, it's like it's constantly ringing the doorbell, asking to be let in. And eventually, our cells start ignoring that signal. They start ignoring the knocks, they start ignoring the doorbell. And over time, this is when problems arise, because that is what insulin resistance starts to look like. When that happens, the insulin circulating our system is a fat blocker. So the primary role of insulin is not to lower the blood sugar back down, it is to block any other forms of energy utilization. So if insulin remains high, it will not use any other form of energy. It will not use your stored fat for fuel. The more glucose or sugar you have in your bloodstream, it'll just continue to get stored as fat. And fat is a metabolically active tissue, which means that the more fat you have, the more cravings you'll have, the more fatigue you'll experience. And this then evolves into a vicious cycle. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you that sugar is a very disruptive substance in our diet. Most importantly, sugar is highly inflammatory. And it is said that inflammation is the root cause of not just some, but all chronic diseases. Also, menopause in and of itself is an inflammatory state. So if you're in perimenopause or menopause, we are more inflamed than before. We're losing those lovely hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So our body is fighting harder to do the same functions as it once did with the help of estrogen. This is why understanding and supporting our blood sugar balance is foundational and not at all optional in this stage of life. Because when your blood sugar is stable, your body feels safe. And when your body feels safe, everything starts to work a little bit better. Your energy stays stable, your hunger cues are normal, your sleep improves, mood improves, your digestion improves. So we really need to understand blood sugar balance. When your blood sugar swings from high highs to low lows, your body's reading that as stress. Just remember, when your blood sugar swings or is high, the body is going to release insulin. Chronically high insulin leads to weight gain. It leads to more inflammation. It also, long-term, damages the arteries, and it can lead to more serious metabolic diseases like diabetes, obesity, and liver disease. So we need to be really mindful of where we see these crashes and these cravings. If you're accumulating lots of belly weight and you don't feel like yourself, also what can come with this cycle is a lot of brain fog. So we'll talk about this in a little bit as it relates to adrenal fatigue. But I want to change the topic just quickly because it's not all bad news bears. The good news is that you have control over this and more than you think. If you implement the systems that we're going to talk about in this conversation and in my programs, you can reverse or break this cycle. So insulin spikes more often, cells stop listening, and the body shifts into fat storage mode. So we're going to break down that cycle. Really quickly, we need to understand that our hormones don't operate in silos. So insulin, cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, and our adrenals, they're constantly talking to each other. And when one is stressed out, the others will adapt, okay? They're all working together. When you have things like weight gain or fatigue or cravings or brain fog, these are often downstream signals, not the root problem. So remember, our bodies interpret insulin spikes and dips as a stressor, which then elevates cortisol, our stress hormone. And when cortisol is present, it's telling your body to either fight or flee. So to either store that excess glucose as fat because it'll be needed later, or to fight and use that readily available energy. But we are not fighting or even fleeing. We are sitting at our desks, we're driving in our cars, and this is leading to weight gain, to mood swings, and adrenal fatigue over time. Again, we're going to get into that a little bit deeper in a couple slides. So, why does eating less and exercising more backfire? Because restriction is interpreted by the body as more stress. Skipping meals and cutting carbs aggressively or over exercising, these are all raising your cortisol. Cortisol raises insulin. Can you see where we're going here? And if you are in fight or flight, your body needs to have insulin in order to have glucose ready for the cells to use for energy. Any excess insulin is just going to get stored for fat. So your body actually thinks it's protecting you from these stresses. We need to prime the body for weight loss through addressing these foundational areas first, and then everything will come together. But that's because they're all connected together. Everything in your body in midlife is connected. Your hormones, your gut health, your stress, your sleep, your inflammation, we have to talk about it all. By addressing these things in conjunction with understanding how your body is responding to the stimuli in your life and understanding nutrition, you'll have so much more success in your weight loss efforts, and you will have lasting results that will take you to your ideal body weight for years and years to come. Okay, so let's go back and talk about cortisol. So did you know that even by having a high sugar meal, that spike in insulin can put as much stress on your body as a fight or flight situation? Doesn't that blow your mind? Like a milkshake could be as stressful to your body as a bear attack. So between skipping meals and a rushing mind, not getting enough sleep, not hydrating enough, maybe too much screen time or a high stress job, when that stress is constant, your system is getting worn out, totally depleted. So stress raises your blood sugar and insulin is released to then manage it. And this is why stress management is actually metabolic care. We need to address the underlying issues that need to be a focus simultaneously as we're addressing your weight loss efforts. So the more we address the cortisol piece, the more effective our efforts will be. So it's really critical not to overlook the stress piece and make sure that you're addressing and honoring the stress in your life. Okay, what you can do. Well, there's a lot we can do. When you are in constant high cortisol, your progesterone is suppressed. And that's going to impact your sleep, your mood, your muscle tone, your fat burning, your motivation, and your libido. We need to be feeding your body the right fuel. And we need to eat during the day and less at night. That's a really big thing. So when you follow the 30-30-30 method, my signature method, it's just a simple framework that helps you remember 30 grams of protein at every meal, 30 grams of fiber at night, and 30 minutes of mindful movement. When you eat during the day and in sync with your circadian rhythm, that reads as safety for your body. We also need to make sure that we're getting adequate vitamin D. Okay, vitamin D plays a crucial role in hormone production. Don't forget, we need to be building muscle, right? Muscle, we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but muscle helps your insulin response. Your hormones are made in the gut, actually. And all women in midlife experience a decrease in their gut microbiome. It's unavoidable. It happens when we lose our estrogen. So we need to understand what we can be doing to support the gut. And then healthy fats. Healthy fats are how your body makes hormones. So we really need to make sure that we've got adequate healthy fats in the diet. When the ovaries take a step back after menopause, the adrenal glands take a step forward when it comes to hormone production. So if the adrenals are exhausted, your hormone balance is going to suffer. Supporting your adrenals is a non-negotiable in midlife. So addressing stress is really twofold. First, we have to stop filling that stress bucket. We have to stop putting extra stressors in. And we also must be doing cortisol decreasing activities to help the body manage stress better. Fat storage is a survival strategy. Your insulin is not storing the fat on purpose. It's doing it because it thinks that there's a reason why it needs to. So the goal is not obviously zero insulin in your system. We need it. It's just that we want to try and have fewer, more gentle spikes so that the body feels safe enough to release the stored energy. So this isn't some sort of biohack. This is just basics that are done consistently. So in my program, we talk about nutrition, we talk about movement, muscle, gut health, detoxification, nervous system regulation. These are the foundations that everything else is built on. Okay, so this hopefully might look familiar to you. What we were taught decades ago just doesn't serve midlife women. If you are in your late 30s or beyond, this is what you learned. You learned that the vast majority of your diet should be things like grains and breads and carbs and pasta. But now, do you see the problem with this? Fat burning is centered around blood sugar balance. And if your diet is centered around bread and carbs as your main source of energy, your body is more likely to experience the effects of insulin, and it'll be harder to access that stored fat. Now, when we anchor our meals with a little bit of protein, a little bit of healthy fat, and choose carbohydrates intentionally, it creates a much more balanced plate. So building our plates more intentionally is the goal going forward. This is going to support your blood sugar and your hormones simultaneously. So what we know is that protein stabilizes blood sugar and preserves muscle. As we're getting older, we'll talk about this in a bit, but we are losing our lean muscle mass. We know that fats contribute to our hormones, to building hormones, and we need carbs. Carbs provide energy, but the type, timing, and pairing of the carbs matter. We're focusing on fiber-filled carbs, okay? So I want you to think about your plate and try and think about your plate having 15 to 20% of fiber-filled carbs. We don't want to remove carbs. We don't have to avoid them to lose weight. I mean, how many times have we tried that and has it backfired? We want to make our carbs work for us. So instead of obsessing over how many carbs you're eating, I'd love for you to get excited about how much fiber you're eating. And fiber is an amazing tool to help you lose that stubborn belly weight. We want to look at a variety of sources of foods, okay? Nothing's really off limits. We just have to be super mindful about the nutrients in our food. Something to think about also is that we are more sensitive to carbs at night versus in the morning, but we can talk about that in a little bit. When it comes to blood sugar balance, your protein intake is king. Consuming an consuming an adequate amount of protein is so important because here are the things. It helps stabilize your blood sugar, so you're not going to have those high spikes and low dips. It helps to reduce the cravings, so it supports the hormones that are responsible for fullness and satiety. And it also obviously contributes to increasing your lean muscle mass. It improves body composition during your weight loss efforts. And also protein is has the highest thermic effect. So that just means it takes the most amount of energy to digest protein versus the other macronutrients. Women are losing between 1% to 3% of lean muscle every year after the age of 30. And when you lose weight, you don't just lose fat, you also lose muscle too. So consuming an adequate amount of protein will help you preserve some of that muscle to support your metabolism. I always say you aim for 30 grams at every meal and then hopefully round up to above 100 with your snacks. So we know that when you eat carbs, they convert to glucose. Then glucose is stored in the muscles and the liver. And the more muscle you have, the more glycogen your body can use instead of insulin shuttling the extra into fat storage. So muscle is so key for better blood sugar control. And also, we just know exercise is great for us. It's great for many reasons. It boosts our mood. It's great for cardiovascular health. It's important for mobility. But when we're over 40, here's why muscle becomes the star of the show. More muscle helps your body use glucose effectively instead of storing it for fat. When we're losing muscle, we have reduced insulin sensitivity and increased fat storage. So we're already naturally losing muscle every year. If we don't maintain it, we're just making the problem worse. So remember, during exercise, your muscles use glucose or glycogen for its fuel. And when the glycogen is depleted, your body will then start burning the stored fat. So the stronger your muscles, the more efficient you'll be at burning fat. It's a non-negotiable for your lifespan and health span. It's important for long-term fat loss to really start building that muscle. And then just back to that cortisol piece, a stressed nervous system is reading a crisis. And we talked about this. When you are in crisis, it's going to trigger insulin. Insulin's going to promote more fat storage, and you cannot out-diet a body that feels unsafe. I love that this is true. Breath work is the fastest way to reduce cortisol, faster than any supplement or workout or app, and it's free. You can go for a walk in nature. You can slow down eating, how quickly you eat your meals. All of these send a beautiful message of safety to your body. Other things that you can do to help the body feel safe and to rebuild trust with the body are things like having a little bit of food before your morning coffee. You don't want to crank up that cortisol first thing in the morning, and caffeine will do that. These are all just small inputs with big hormonal returns. Staying hydrated and hydrating early in the day. I mentioned this before, but slowing down while eating, daily walks and strength training, and then of course, intentional breathing, breath work. So oxytocin is cortisol's off switch. So laughter, connection, safety, compassion, love, they aren't just nice extras, they're your medicine. Like that is what's going to help you feel connected, to feel safe and supported. So where in your life can you tap into a little bit more laughter, a little bit more connection, a hug, a snuggle with a dog or a partner? It's so important. A good belly laugh with a friend. Don't underestimate that. This isn't about trying harder. This is about creating safety. This is about trying smarter. When your body feels safe, it stops clinging and starts responding. We can create safety in the body by increasing your oxytocin, that love hormone that shuts down cortisol, hydrating, delaying coffee, making sure that you slow down when you're eating, doing breathing exercises, daily walks in nature, because stable blood sugar leads to stable hormones. When we work with the body instead of against it, your energy improves, your moods settle, and your weight will respond. Everything we talked about today is what we work on in my group and one-on-one programs in Unstuck. We make sure that we get you exactly what you need to be eating, how to move, sleep and nervous system regulation. We do goal setting and, of course, accountability, and also community support, knowing that you are not alone, that you're in this with a group of other women who are on the same path. So important, because without these, nothing will stick. Here's what I want to leave you with. You are not behind. You are in the middle of your biggest transformation. You are becoming the very next best version of yourself. This season is when you stop spiraling and start restoring. And I can give you the support that you need to get there with tools and structure, without overwhelm, without extremes. So if you're feeling that gentle nudge, that little internal, yes, that's me, I would love to support you through this. You are not here to experience cravings and brain fog and fatigue and mood swings and everything in between. You are not broken. You are not meant to do this alone. You are not too late. You are right on time.